What's going on, folks? Thought I'd make a video going over some of the modifications that I would recommend if you are a new 996 owner. Now, this video is, first of all, my opinion. I'm not a 996 Porsche anything expert, so take it for what it's worth, what you pay for it. Second of all, it's going to work under a base assumption that your car is in relatively good mechanical order, that it is a good representation of a car of its age, which at this point these cars are coming up on 20 years old. So that being said, uh, let's start with the basics. So from a reliability standpoint, the IMS is something that obviously is going to come up right in the way in conversation. So yes, I would recommend, if you can't document that the IMS has been done on your car, I would recommend that you replace the IMS bearing, if for nothing else than peace of mind. Should build that into the cost. If you're looking at a car, just plan on doing it. Or stay away from the forums or any 996 videos on YouTube, and close your eyes and plug your ears. Maybe it'll be fine for you, but for me, it was definitely a requirement that that issue was not going to come up, and so my car has a direct oil feed IMS bearing installed. Uh, if you are planning on doing the IMS yourself, it would make sense to, at a minimum, replace the rear main seal while you're in there. And if the clutch is anything other than very new, I would replace that as well. You're going to have a relatively hefty bill for those things, but they really set the foundation for a car that you don't have to get so invasive with later, or possibly have a catastrophic issue come up. So uh, there's that. Next, I would tackle anything that would be a regular wear and tear item for cars of this age. So that pretty much means everything in the suspension with a rubber bushing should be gone over and replaced if needed. These cars don't make a lot of power. They shine in how well they handle. If you're buying it to have fun with, whether it's just on the road or on the track, you're really doing a disservice to the handling of the car to have a bunch of worn out bushings under there. Not to mention there is a safety aspect of it too. So go over the bushings, control arms, um, everything, and make sure that those are in good shape. They're relatively inexpensive to replace. So as opposed to replacing the bushing, most of the time, it's cheaper to just go ahead and buy the replacement part on Amazon or whatever, and save yourself the hassle of trying to get the bushings out. Okay. Uh, Next, I would go to tires. So tires make a huge difference in the performance, the feedback, the confidence that the car inspires in driving it. So I would recommend a nice set of tires. Now that could be, depending on your budget, something like the Sumitomo HTRs, which tons of people run, and I had when I originally bought the car. Those seem to work very well for people on the street. They worked okay for me on the street. If you're planning on having like a dual use car or something that you really want to push on the road, I would spring for something in the Michelin Pilot Sport lineup, the 4S or the PS2 or the Cup, even for more hardcore folks. Those tires really wake the car up and make it perform very well. Uh, Coinciding, still staying on the suspension and the handling, uh, when we talk about making sure that the suspension is in good shape, that would include your dampers and springs. So the stock setup that was on my car was very worn out. It was serviceable for the road. It didn't clunk or leak or do anything like that. But changing it out for a set of coilovers made a huge difference in how the car felt. I mean, it can't be put into words how much better the car felt, like a new car, after the coilover installed. So I put the Olins on. Those are really expensive. There's a ton of options, whether you do like Bilsteins and an H&R Spring, or um, any of the other coilover options. Again, it's a relatively pricey investment, but for what the car is, um, to have this anything in the suspension not performing up to the level that it needs to be really does a disservice to what make these cars fun, and that's how well they handle. Moving on, so we've covered tires and suspension. Short shift kit would be something I would definitely recommend. My shifter was junk. It was like one of the first things I noticed when I got it was just it had tons of slop in it, tons of play, didn't inspire any confidence. There's again a number of options that you can go B&M, numeric, the CAE that I have in my car. I'm sure there's 50 Amazon types that you can get. But I would highly recommend, or there's a couple kits that just replace parts in the stock setup with, I think they put metal parts in place of plastic ones in the linkage. Whichever direction you go, I don't think that you can really do much worse than what's in their stock. So I would recommend short shift kit. Other than that, I think we really get into the realm of having to modify the car dependent on what exactly you want to do with it, whether it's, stereo stuff or race car stuff or whatever. But I think those items that I covered, if you're looking into buying one of these cars, you should be thinking about those as you think about making that purchase, and kind of doing some research and investigation on what direction you may want to go. If you really want to get in a stockish form the most out of the car. Um, so I'll do a follow up video to this with some of the modifications that I don't really think that pay off any dividends, no matter what you're doing with your car. But those are the ones that I would recommend. If you have ones that I forgot, or you want to challenge any of those, feel free, put it in the comments, and we could talk about it. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. We'll have lots more 996 videos over a cold New England winter. And we'll talk to you soon.